Welcome back to Chaotic Crafting. I'm Kim, and I just have to tell you about what I just got back from. So Dina Wakely and Diane Reevely are a couple of artists that I actually discovered during COVID when I first started painting and trying to kind of be a little more arty when the whole world had shut down. And I've been following them strongly for the last 6 years, following their online classes and buying a lot of their products. And they had a workshop called Better Together in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. And I just got back from that last week, and I wanted to kind of share some of the stuff that we did there. You're obviously going to have to go online to see the techniques and all of the things that you learn there, because I can't show you all of that. I don't own this, but also it's so good to just do it with them. So we made cards, and when you think about it, when there's so many people flying in, this was sort of like the perfect size to kind of feel like you got done with something. We glued them together, which I haven't done for all of them yet, but perfect little size, not a big, huge canvas that I have to try to get in my luggage or to fit on the plane. And so a lot of these are the Dina Wakely collage tissue art and her transparencies, and you might find in the background some of our own, her techniques that she taught at the workshop. You might also see some of Diane Reevely's techniques. She's the one that usually does all of the ink through the stencil. These are some of Dina Wakely's art and stamps. Again, got some Dina Wakely stuff. She introduced us to something. I've been trying to do like image transfers for a while, and they never turned out. Like this is one. And she taught us why they never turned out, and I wanted to sort of do a little class with you and show you some of them, and even try something new myself. So she gave us, that's an image transfer, she gave us some black and white cards. Just to be fair, I want to go through some of what Diane Reevely's cards look like as well, because she has completely different techniques, completely different products, and I feel like I learned a lot from both of them, and I'm thrilled that I got to go. I had such a blast. I'm going to paint these in later, but you come home, I think 48 cards, or maybe it's 24 cards, but you came home with cards that are at least little starters that you can work on and finish later with quotes, funny quotes, cute little images, whatever you want to do. But we just kind of got started on all of them. But like I was saying, Dina Wakely taught us a way to do image transfers that turns out better than any I've ever tried. That's another one there. And I wanted to kind of do some, that's one there, with you, and do a quick video. Oh, look, she signed this, and it says, Kim, make a mess. Oh, I love this. This, of course, is all Dina Wakely and her paint. Diane Reevely, this is some of her artwork, and she signed this one for me. So these are my two cherished. Oh, I'm so glad I went to the workshop. I love these. Mwah, mwah. Love them, love them. So I wanted to kind of set this apart and do some stuff in my journal. First of all, the things that they give you, I bought some stuff, then they gave us some stuff, but it was just ridiculous how generous they were. I bought this smaller journal. I don't have this size journal by Diane Reevely, and I do love her paper and her journals, so I thought we might do something in the Diane Reevely journal, but using one of the techniques that Dina Wakely taught. So I've often tried to do transfers with gel medium. And gel medium is a lot like Mod Podge. It's something that we use in the collaging world, mixed media world. Sort of a glue-like. Typically, we'll put this layer down. We'll put a image on top and then seal it up with a thin layer on top as well. And I've always tried to do the image transfers with the gel medium, but Dina Wakely was like, y'all, it works better with acrylic paint. So what? Never heard that, never tried it. So we did it in her class, and I'm not kidding. I don't know if it's just because we were in her class and she's a magical being, so it worked, or if I have been using the wrong thing this whole time. So I asked her, well, if acrylic works, will clear gesso work? So rather than having a painted color behind the image, we could do a clear color behind the image. And she said, yeah, it should. So we're going to test that theory now. and try to do some image transfers using acrylic paint and clear gesso versus gel medium. This is another one of Dina Wakely's journals. This is the Ledger journal, which I love, and I've been working in it nonstop because it's amazing. And it's one of the things that, you know, you really don't want to cover this up with an acrylic paint because this is so beautiful, having this journal background. So I thought this would be a fun journal to sort of try that new technique in. I'll do it both ways. I'll do it with acrylic paint, and then we'll do it with clear gesso and see what happens. She did give us some images that she had printed out on her inkjet printer. I think a lot of people probably say you have to use a certain, you have to use a toner printer, but she printed these on a regular inkjet printer and all of these images work. So I'm just gonna grab some of these images back out that I cut out while I was, if I can find them. Hold on just a second. Let me get them out. Some of them I stamped. Some of them we stamped some. Okay, they are. So she gave us these and said that they should work. And some of them, you know, we stamped up. So I'll use these just to be sure. I might try the stamped ones just to see if that works. It may or may not, but this is how we find out, right? Which I guess it won't, because I think the whole point of the image transfers, the toner doesn't pull up the ink, but everything else does. But let's try a few of these little, and the cool thing is you don't have to fussy cut them. Like you can just, like I could just put it down like this without having to take the time to cut it out really preciously. So, all right, the first thing we're going to start is doing one in this journal. And I'm going to try it on a page that I think that the writing is pretty. And I'm just going to do it with the clear gesso first and see what happens. So she did say, like, one of the tricks is to make sure it's a thick enough layer. If it's not thick enough, it might not transfer. And of course, you do have to make sure it's all the way dry before you try the next step. So I'm going to put a thick layer down of this clear gesso. And then I'm just going to stick this bird. I think that's thick. I hope that's thick. I'm just going to stick this bird right in the middle of it. And you don't put the gesso on the back because we're not sealing this picture. Obviously, I don't want to seal that. I want to be able to do a transfer. So we're just going to set that down and leave that to dry. That's why I brought a couple of different journals out. We're going to try it in a few different journals. This is, like I said, the Dina Wakely journal. We're going to do it in this one as well. I'm just going to use the old, let's tear this one out since we don't have to be real careful about it. Going to tear this image out. I think she said a lot of these inkjet printers have come a long way, and that if you haven't tried it in a while, you should try it. There were several people asking about the inkjet printer like I've got. It's got the wells of ink. I forget what it's called. The Eon or Ea, I can't remember, but for that one, a lot of us artists have that because you don't go through the ink as much. And she said, try it, you don't know. So I'm gonna print some stuff out later, just in black and white, and try it. So you wanna make sure that's down really well, push down really well, down into that clear gesso. And then I'm gonna do one that is with paint, and then I'll stop the video and we'll come back when they're dry, and I'll do the technique of how to lift it when it's dry. Matter of fact, since I'm just doing this as a technique, I'm just going to put this above that on the same page. Oh, I'll do the little heart. I'll do the heart with the pink ink. This is Dina Wakely's ink, but it is acrylic, so it should work. Of course, it's neon, so it's bright and thin. I'm gonna put the heart up here. Press it down really well. And I think I want to try, just because I said we were going to try, I'm going to try one of these stamped images. It's on cardstock, so it may be too thick anyway, but why not try it? This is archival ink. Probably won't work, which means I'm probably going to wind up peeling this off and having a mess and having to cover it up later, but that's the beauty of working in an art journal. If it stinks, we can just cover it up. I can find something else to do with it. I do hate that I will lose this nice stamped image, but I own this stamp, so I can make more. Let's just try that one for the fun of it. It's probably not going to work. I'm telling you right now, this one's probably not going to work. And just to get rid of some of this paint that's on my brush, I'm just going to brush it on out so not to lose it. And like I said, I will stop the video, and once this dries, we'll move on to that next step to see if our image transfers worked. We've got a bird here in the Dina Wakely journal. We've got a stamped image, which I'm not holding my breath for. We've got a printed image, which should work on acrylic, and a printed image on clear gesso. And now we just hurry up and wait and let that dry, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, we're back, and I think they're dry enough for us to do the next step. I did add another little something cool over here that's going to take longer to dry, but let's just see if this is going to work. So we take just regular water and we spray the back of that first one that we put on here on the acrylic paint. Well, this one we put first, but we're going to do this. And you just start kind of rubbing in a circle. I will say I have no patience, so this might not be dry enough. If it's not dry enough, it probably won't work, but I think it's working. Look at that. So I'm just rubbing all of that. I'll go a little bit closer. I'm rubbing all of that, the back of that paper off of the image that I placed face down onto this journal, onto this pile of acrylic paint. And I'm not kidding, like, that's better than most image transfers I've ever tried. So I think Dina Wakely is exactly right. The gel medium is maybe too sticky, or just not the right medium to use, because this acrylic paint, look how good that is. I mean, that's a really good image of that heart on fire, that tattoo looking heart. Now what's going to happen is this is going to dry and it's going to fog up again, or get white and cloudy and misty looking, and that just lets you know you didn't get it all off, and you'll just repeat that process. So I'm going to do it again for this one on the bottom. This one on the bottom was the one we did with the clear gesso, not acrylic paint. Same thing, wet it, and then just start. I think it's better to go in a circle, but I'm not really sure if it matters. So some of this paper back here that didn't have an image, oh, and you can see I just ripped the tail off because I got too aggressive. So it's kind of like a gentle, you kind of have to be a little bit careful. But anything that I rip off, I can draw back in with a pen. And I'm okay if it's not perfect too, because that just adds to like the little, oh, I just ripped off his beak. Look at me screwing up right and left, but that's okay. I'm being way too aggressive on my rubbing. You gotta figure out how much pressure to use, and I haven't done it enough to know yet, but I definitely know I've used too much. I can use a little bit more over here where there's not any art. I'm just trying to get rid of all that extra paper because I didn't want to fussy cut it. So I can use a little more around here, but when it comes to the image, and you'll see all this little gunky stuff over here, when it comes to the image itself, I've got to be a lot more careful. I've gotten rid of his beak, and I've cut off a little bit of his tail, which I'm hoping I can probably add those back in if I decide I want like a perfect beak. but I might not. I might decide I kind of like the vintagey feel. Oh, I just wiped off his whole face. Like I said, trial and error. Now I'm definitely going to have to put a whole beak back in. And knowing when to stop, that's important too, which I never know when to stop. So I've screwed up his beak, I've screwed up his tail and some of his body right here from being too aggressive on the, heck, I'm rubbing so aggressively that I've messed up the ledger below it. You see that? That's definitely not a good thing. So let's go back to this Diane Wakely journal, and let me see if I can learn from my mistakes on this one and be a little gentler. You just start feeling that paper, the pulp from that paper just start peeling up and rubbing off. Again, like I said, I don't have to be careful out here because there's no picture, but I do need to be careful where that black part is because that's the image I don't want to mess up. It's almost like, I feel like kind of a little bit of reverse stamping. I don't know. Why do you want to do it? Because it's cool and it's fun. I'm not kidding. This is kind of like so zen. I mean, you're in an artistic mood, but you don't really have the energy to tap into something that's so creative that you got to paint something from scratch. This is kind of a fun thing, a little fun thing to do. Have 2 or 3 of them going and 2 or 3 little journals. For this big part, I can just peel those off because I'm not worried about that. I mean, probably if I were a little more careful, I would have cut this out a little better, but I'm a lazy artist and did not want to fussy cut this. This made it such a mess. But how fun is a mess when you're working on art? The messier, the more therapy you get from it, I think. In your real life, you got to be put together and you can't be messy. But in art, let it go and let it flow. Ah! See what I just did there on the tail? Dadgummit. I was really getting my groove on. And then wound up messing up the tail. Oh well. Oh, and the wing. This is the clear gesso one. I think maybe after checking out the clear gesso one, the acrylic works better than the clear gesso, if I'm being honest. Because this one has been the best one so far. So instead of wetting it, I'm just going to wet my finger a little bit with this sprayer and try to take another layer. And you can tell that it's gotten back a little bit white and fuzzy. Maybe acrylic is the best thing. Yeah, I'm proud of that one. And I'm just telling you, if I were to stamp this image, it wouldn't have come out this good. I'm not a great stamper without it, like, especially going straight into the journal like this. So this turns out better than a stamped image would, I think. I'm just gonna wet my finger a little bit more and go over a little bit more. I'm gonna try really hard not to mess this one up. This makes me feel like this one on the cardstock doesn't have a chance because it's so thick. And it's a stamp. So you can see how this one's getting back like a white film over it. So you can tell that I did not rub all of the backing off good, but it's so fragile. I'm kind of scared to do it. you can just rub back a little bit of wetness, rub back a little bit more of that. You know, and again, I've probably screwed this bird up so much that I'm just going to cover up the whole bird. But what did I lose? Nothing, because this is in my journal and nobody cares. This is going to take a minute because it's cardstock. So it may not even rub off. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to screw it up so you don't have to. Pretty sure this is not going to work. But we'll see. Because that's just archival. That's just archival ink. That's just a stamped image on white cardstock. So there's no toner in that. I'm just going to see if it works. And if it doesn't, then I know not to do it. No, look. Yeah. I got a feeling it's not going to. It's just going to all roll off. Yeah. I'm trying to be very, very gentle because I know I have a heavy hand. I get bored too, and I just start going crazy. I don't have the most patience. It's working a little bit. It's working more than I thought it would. Now down here, it's not working great, but this, you can already tell that the paint wasn't as thick down here. It's working a little bit, y'all. Hey, it's working a little bit. I'm not mad at it. Definitely worth trying it to see if it would work. Like I said, this is a stamped image using archival ink on cardstock. It's kind of working. Y'all, it's kind of working. This is why you call it playing in your journal, because, you know, if it didn't work, I'd say, oh, well, it didn't work. But then I'm like pleasantly surprised that it's kind of working. I'm going to keep on until I ruin it. And that's okay too, because then I'll know how far to push it. I am so pleasantly surprised at that. Wow. Kinda-ish, right? Kinda-ish. This one's not dry yet. We'll come back when I do this one. I wanted to see what a really bigger one would look like. Yeah, I'm kind of happy about this stamped one. It's not bad. I mean, maybe I'm just not removing enough paper. So we'll let it dry and see what happens. But this one definitely turned out good. This heart definitely turned out good on the acrylic. That's a good image transfer right there. Look, there's like no skips or anything. Bird, not so much. I took out his beak. So I'm going to say clear gesso doesn't work as well as the acrylic does. That's pretty fun. I'm gonna let this one dry. You can tell it's still a little wet. When this one dries completely, we'll do it again and see if it's the clear gesso or if it's just I messed up this one. And I'll try to go slow and calmly on that one. All right, I'll see y'all back in a minute. All right, I'm not sure it's 1000% dry, but welcome to my world. We're gonna try this one as well. See if it works. This one was a picture of Frida, and then I added wings and a crown. So I hope it works, because it'll be really cool if it does, but it might not. If this doesn't work, I think I'm going to conclude that acrylic works better than clear gesso, because the acrylic ones I did in class, all of them worked out like amazingly well. And then the acrylic one I did here worked out, but the gesso ones, not so much. And maybe I'm not using enough gesso. Maybe I'm not doing it thick enough. So I still have to do a little trial and error and see, but it could be that that's just, oh, I don't know. That crown looks pretty clean. Maybe. Maybe. It just feels like it's drying so fast. Oh, yep, I ripped some of it. I see that. And again, it could be this ledger journal. The paper's not quite mixed media paper. And again, I'm probably too rough. But I also have to say I'm thoroughly entertained by it, so I'm not mad either way. If it does work or doesn't work, I'm okay with it. Either way. So messy. How fun. I love messy art. Just let me get her face okay. I'll pull it a little bit closer so maybe you can see the reveal a little better. Oh no, I could tell I already messed that up a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe clear gesso is not the best for this. Because acrylic's, basically plastic. So it makes sense that it's not gonna bond. It's not gonna bond to the paper or the art. I messed up that wing already. But I don't know what gesso is. I know it's not just acrylic. I think it's acrylic-like. But I don't think it's plastic like acrylic is. So some of this is coming up. I'm sure I'm rubbing too hard too. Like with everything, you know, there's a learning curve. This has been fun though. And that's the whole point of art, having fun. I've already messed up the swing, so I should probably leave the whole thing alone, but I can tell that there's still more backing on it. I've messed up the crown. I don't want to mess up her face, but I think it works okay. I probably did not make it thick enough, if I'm being honest, on the clear gesso. Gesso is a little harder to know how thick it is because it's clear, obviously. Where acrylic paint, you can kind of tell how thick it is because it's acrylic paint. So maybe I'll play around with it a few more times and see if maybe it was just the amount that I put down is why it didn't do as well. Because I would love for clear gesso to work, because look how cool. You get to see everything underneath it, which the neon acrylic works too because it's pretty transparent. But if I were using regular acrylic, I would literally be painting over all of this yummy goodness in the journal. And sometimes that's okay, but sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you've worked on a background that you kind of like, and you want your focal point to make that background shine, not cover it up. So I love the idea that clear gesso works. I think I'm just gonna let this dry and see what happens. So for now, not bad. I really do like the clear gesso, but the acrylic paint was the best result. Not mad at the stamped image, although probably more than likely I just left enough of that thin layer down, so it probably did not image transfer more than it did just glue down the image. And then this one, I tried to go back and put his beak in and kind of fill in the spots where I pulled it off, but I think I just was too aggressive on that one. And the last one I did in the Delusions journal, this was a total flop. I don't like that one at all. So, all right, now you know what I know. I hope maybe it inspires you to get out and play with some stuff just to see how it reacts. I'm gonna let this dry and see if I can get a little bit more clarity on her, but not mad at it, don't hate it. Definitely don't hate it, but I'm not 1000% sure yet that clear gesso works. So I'll keep you posted. I'll see you next time. Thanks for checking me out and watching at Chaotic Crafting. See you later. Bye.